So it's gonna sound like there's a ghost throughout most of this video because it's extremely windy and I'm by 2 windows. And there's no ghost, it's just wind. Sorry, Ryan Bergara, but I'm not entirely sure ghosts are real, gonna be honest. So for starters, I'm not a psychologist. This is not something I've studied. It's just something that I've dealt with. I have ADHD and I read a lot. I'm an avid reader, so I wanted to kind of talk about the ways I deal with it in order to be an avid reader, because that's something I really enjoy. And I just know sometimes other people talking about the ways in which they struggle can make you feel less alone. And it is also nice to hear from someone that has struggled in the way you do, if that makes sense. Of course, some of this stuff could be specific to me. I do have ADHD combined type, but even then, from what I understand, from what I've read and what I've heard from other people, ADHD can present itself differently in different people. So I also have been diagnosed with other things as well, so some of the stuff may be pertaining to that. And I'm not going to disclose exactly what. I do believe in destigmatizing mental health. However, I like to keep my life a little bit more private and a little more offline. The stuff I share online more has to do with fandom and books. So because this is in relation to reading, I feel comfortable sharing it, but for the most part, especially as I've gotten older, I value having privacy and not sharing that much online. So yeah, while I believe in destigmatizing mental health, today I'm just talking about my ADHD. And naturally, I've made a long, wordy intro because of who I am as a person, so now let's get into it. So first and foremost, a big thing that I struggle with is getting started when it comes to reading. If I'm already hooked on a book, I am hyper fixated on the book, then I'm gonna want to read it whenever, so that's not as much of an issue. But there have been times where I have even loved a book but struggled to get started on it, because there's times where I just struggle to get started on any task, no matter how much I enjoy it. Sometimes I have those days. So there's something called the Pomodoro method, and I read about this before being 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off, but most apps that I've looked up that use this, and the one that I use, do 25 minutes of productivity and 5-minute breaks. So what this does is I use this app called Planty, and what you do is you press start when you're going to be productive, and with this one there's a tree. So the tree will grow apples as you are being productive during the 25 minutes. And then you get your 5-minute break. And you get coins every time you complete that 25 minutes of productivity. So it's a little game. You can also use those coins. This is not an ad in any way. Just realized I should disclose that. This is not sponsored. But you get those coins and you can use the coins to then get new trees. So like there's a cherry tree I really want to get. And for that, yes, you do have to be honest when you click that productivity. But I found with in general being productive, like doing chores or even stuff I enjoy like reading, sometimes making it a game makes me more likely to do it, and makes it, even though reading's already enjoyable, so this is more so for like cleaning, makes it more enjoyable. So I have found that to be really helpful, and like I said, it does rely on you to be honest, but this involves trees, and I'm not gonna lie to the trees because then the Lorax might kill me. Because even though I enjoy reading, I think people understand this, that sometimes doing anything that uses brain power is just like, I don't know, you get into that kind of like paralysis of, I can't do anything right now. Sorry, but this has helped me with that. This next one is very specific to reading. So what it is reading out loud or using an audiobook while reading the book. So I don't know the science behind this. If I were to make a guess, again, not a psychologist, this is just an educated guess, it might have to do something with using multiple senses, so maybe you're less likely to get distracted, and maybe it's easier to comprehend things when you're using multiple senses. But I don't necessarily use the audiobook one as much. I have used the reading out loud one, and I will say it definitely works. It's worked for me at least, and I understand it might seem a little bit childish. I don't know why we have decided that reading out loud is childish, perhaps because it's something children do when they're learning how to read. But then I was like, that's not real. Someone just decided this was childish because children do it, and it's not. So if it helps, who cares? Just go for it. The next one is also pretty specific to reading. So it's using a paper, and I suggest a blank piece of paper, to then underline what you're reading. You can do the whole finger pointer thing. Again, another thing kids do when they're learning to read. So I understand why you might think that's childish. I don't. I do it with a pencil sometimes because I annotate my books with pencil. So if that's not working though, a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, I recommend folding it in half so you can better cover the words. I just grabbed a book off my shelf and naturally it was How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. Forgot the exact title. So what you would do is then use the paper to, you can't see what's below it. You can only see the words underlined by the paper. And then I believe what that might make you do, again, I don't know the science behind it. For me, I'm not going to move on to the next sentence until I've really like digested that sentence when I'm using the paper. There could be something in my brain specifically where I'm like, no, we're not allowed to move the paper yet. It's just, I can't do it. Like I can physically do it, but I can't do it. Also for me, I don't know if this is an ADHD thing or just a me thing, I will sometimes, if I start a paragraph that's really exciting or a page that's really exciting, I will sometimes jump ahead a few paragraphs to see how things are going because I'm really excited and I want to see what's happening and I'm impulsive like that. So this helps me not do that as well, if that's something you do. The paper, we have to take it slow and not get ahead of ourselves. I have such a hard time with that. When I'm enjoying a book, I get so excited, but you know, that's why we got this paper for. That's what we got this paper for. Again, this next one might be specifically a me thing because I get distracted by loud noises. I can't sleep if there's loud noises or like sudden noises. But if there's a constant noise like a white noise machine, that helps because it drowns out the sudden noises. So I have found I have done some of my best reading when I have the white noise machine on and the overhead light on, off, not on, off, and my book light on. So I'm in the dark. There is no noise to distract me other than the constant white noise machine, so it doesn't distract me. Does that make sense? It's a constant, so it's not distracting. So it drowns out any other sudden noises, and then the light's off, so I don't see something over there where I'm like, oh yeah, I meant to do something with that today, and then I go on 3 side quests before I remember I was in the middle of the chapter, and then I come back to reading. So I have found it's, I guess, a kind of sensory deprivation thing where it's like, there's nothing to distract me, and there are no bad sensory times to make this worse. Lastly, and possibly not my best advice, is if you are having a really bad day, a really hard time, you don't have access to paper or like the blank paper or an audiobook or can't read out loud because there's a lot of other people, or it's just you're not in an environment where you can read out loud and just you're reading the same sentence or same paragraph over and over again and you're not really comprehending it, you realize you haven't really been paying attention to it, your brain is anywhere but on the book and you just can't focus on it. I would say trying to fight against that is not gonna help anything. Just put it down, come back when you're having an easier time. Because I found if I force myself to do things like that, I'm just gonna get frustrated with myself, frustrated with my ADHD and myself because I have it. And so then I'll end up eventually resenting reading for that. Like I'll feel like I am not good enough to read. I will feel less intelligent, and so in order to feel better about myself, I will not read. But because of the fact that if I were having a hard time, didn't force it on myself, I now love reading. I do it every day. I struggle a lot less with it, and I think it's because I love it so much and often fixate on it and whatnot. I think while it might sound counterproductive to say, hey, don't force yourself to, I found in the long run it was more helpful because I'm just thinking of all the things in the past that I like got frustrated with myself because I wasn't getting it. I wasn't excelling at it right away, so I got frustrated and gave up. I think the best thing to do, or frustrated and didn't like it, not necessarily gave it up because I got frustrated and didn't like it. Sure, that made sense. So yeah, so I don't know, Yep. Anyway, if you like this, please like and subscribe. I mainly talk about fantasy books. I honestly really talk about all different kinds of books because I will do like monthly reading wrap-ups where I talk about everything I've read. However, I mostly read fantasy and I know I have a lot planned out pertaining to fantasy and especially fantasy romance. So if you are interested in those or just reading in general, if you liked this video, please like and subscribe. I make a long video every Saturday, and I post at least 3 shorts throughout the week. I'm trying to keep up with that, but I really enjoy making these long form videos, and the shorts are fun too, but yeah. Every single time I have to make the outro more complicated than it is. Can't just say like, subscribe, bye. Like, subscribe, bye.